Welcome back to the long and winding road. The Beatles song, right? A long and winding road. Remember way back when, 2 days ago, I said that I loved the layout the way it was and I wasn't going to change it? Well, I also said I screwed up and didn't get borders and barriers for the hairpins. I thought I did. I saw a picture of one. It kind of looked, it looked tight. It looked like a hairpin, but when I read the description again, it said rad too. So I screwed up. Won't be the first time. Won't be the last time. So remember, also I said in the last video that I really wanted the banked curve to be at the end of the long straightaway. So I went ahead and switched and put the bank and the rad 2 with the borders and the barriers down here and put the 2 hairpins down there. I switched sides. That's near the little L shape now, the little simple return that I have. And once I changed that, once I took the bank curve with the little hairpin broken up into 2 pieces from this side, it, of course, screwed me all up over here. I couldn't come out of the bank curve and go right into that lane. I had to fabricate a new thing using one of those crossover bridges. So, of course, it screwed me all up. So now the track goes, same starting line, same direction. That hasn't changed. Just one S-turn. I had to go all straights because I have, this 4th or 3rd straight, whatever there now. Yeah, it didn't have the room, and I had to break it out a little bit from this curve. I had to break it out and go straight instead of curving again and going over to the side where the transformer is, the power supply, so I could meet up with that curve. So now, instead of the entrance being here, that's the exit to the track, and that's the entrance down there. And once again, just goes in a simple loop, rad 2 corner. I have the inner and the outer barriers for that. Just have to paint them. Got a couple of static 132 scale Volkswagen bus, Volkswagen Bug, and an old 56 Chevy pickup. There's those humpback bridges from the classic set. The classic was made up to 2000, so you can get classic track up to 1999. 2000s when they started with this track with a different way to connect. So anyway, it goes into the hairpin, and then here's the first of many long, well, fairly long, about half the track, straightaway, and then it gives a little flavor, a little something in there to go into the rad 2 turn. And once again, I do have the other border belongs right there. But in this configuration, which remember is not permanent, this doesn't fit. This doesn't go in because this track's in the way. And once again, this track has to be in the way to match up with that down there. So not using that one, but I will eventually. So I'm keeping it ready. I tried something different yesterday. I tried painting the textured paint onto the border, but taking off the strip before I painted. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. Just something, instead of painting it like I did all the others here, where I painted the black strip, the same textured paint, asphalt. So it's kind of all one color. So we'll see. I'll give it some time before I do any more painting on the barriers, just to see. So anyway, it comes around the rad 2. Now there's the part, once again, that's going to stay, whether there's a hairpin down here or, as I have it right now, the rad 2 is like a second very long straightaway. Just open the cars up, gun them, let them breathe, and into the second hairpin, because I have it. The idea of moving the hairpin down there, as you can see, I had an extra piece of the grass that I used, for the infield grass, and I just put it up as a little pad. So when they wipe out, because I haven't quite got the trigger down yet where I can back off enough that they don't wipe out all the time in the corners, when they wipe out, they're going to hit that pad and stay basically on the track. Now, if I get too zealous going down that straight, I've got the barriers. And I'm looking at that saying, you know what, that's That's really not enough. These cars go so fast. I can easily see it hopping over the barrier, breaking through the barrier. So today I went and got some great stuff. They don't sell great stuff here. They had like a house brand, TOA. It's the paint company here. So multi-purpose expanding foam is what it is. So probably what I'll wind up doing, definitely around the hairpins and even around the bank curve, is a mountain made out of foam, a la Boone from Boone's Slot Car Garage. Once again, if you haven't seen that dude's channel, he's really into the diorama part of it, more so than the racetrack. And he has done some amazing things with spray foam and insulation board and, you know, styrofoam and all kinds of stuff. He has some really, really cool scenery. I also borrowed the tree idea from him. I went out and collected some twigs, which in 1/32 scale, that looks like a tree, right? So pretty cool. I just got some twigs from the yard. I'll get more. I got a lot of yard, a lot of trees here. So I'll get more as time goes on and kind of fill in that space between those two straights, because remember, that's staying no matter what curves I have on the end. Those two straights are definitely going to stay. Here in the middle, I kind of like the S curve that I had before, but once again, I had to change those when I swapped curves side to side. So, the moment of truth. I got my trusty little GTE, which, yeah, it's a beautiful car, but it's also the best at riding the track, and with brand new pickups, I slowed down. It wants to go. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, you can do it. Whoop, yep, see, it made it down. Whoa, it's hard to follow because it's so fast. There it goes. Boom, there it is. It made the circuit. Let's see if we can get up that hill this time. I'll just give it a little bit more gas. There it goes, see, it makes it. Makes it around the whole track. That car is just incredible. And yeah, I got the trigger like a quarter of the way down, because it will, yeah, see, even a quarter of the way down, it will have trouble on these, and this is, you know, the best car I have as far as sticking on the track. It will have trouble on these hairpins without the borders. You know, they swing out onto the borders. That's what the borders are for. But hear how that glides? And if you, once again, you have to feel it with the controller. When I put a stock car, like one of the Camaros, it sounds different. It runs different. I have to, once again, squeeze the trigger off the trigger, squeeze the trigger off the trigger to get it around those hairpins. There we go. Okay, yeah, by going on and off the trigger, herky-jerky, I was able to get it around the track. There you go. And I am running at 30 volts. One of the viewers had written in and said, don't run it at 30 volts, you're going to fry the motors. I was like, oh shit, I don't want to ruin these cars, especially the purdy ones, you know, the hopped up supercars like the Toyota and Philly Flyer and the two brand new electrics that I bought. I was like, oh man, I don't want to fuck up the motors. But then I read and researched into it, and multiple sources said the cars will only draw the amps they need. So you can run the stock 1 amp, 1.5 amp draw. You guys never saw the Corvette run, because I didn't film that. See if we can get her around the track. Smooth. Yeah, it's a lot smoother. See, it's not as loud as the Camaro and the Mustang. Let's see if we can get up the hill if I give it a little bit of gas. Electric. Nope. Had to be more aggressive with the throttle. See, that's the thing about the GTE. It's very forgiving. You see how the stock car, the Vet, it runs well, but like it needs you to maintain See right off the, right, you see how the GTE just took that same curve, no problem, and it hugged it and it stayed on the track. Even the Camaro, yeah, the Vet went off the track. It runs good, it's a nice car, but it doesn't hug the track. Maybe magnets in the front, a small little round button magnet, something like that. But anyway, she's smooth, she's quiet, she's faster than the Porsche, faster than the Mustang and the Camaros. Faster than the light blue GT40, but not the dark blue. For some reason, this car is faster. I don't know why. I oiled them both. I cleaned them both, lubed the gears and oiled the bearings, and for whatever reason, this one responded to that better than this one. Same car, same set, but the dark blue is faster for whatever reason. Anyhow, I immediately, after I realized my mistake the night I did the last video, I got on line, because my night is morning for the United States and the UK. So I got on that night, and that morning I ordered borders for the hairpins. They only had 2. I need 4. Those 2 there, plus you see there's a half here to do the turnaround and a half there to do the turnaround. That's 3. And then down here, same thing. I split up the hairpin into 2 pieces. So I need 2 borders there and 2 borders there. Space is a problem, as I mentioned. You see with this border, I already showed you, there's just not enough physical room to have a straightaway, this curve, which is a narrow curve compared to the one I had. It's just a regular standard 45-degree radius R2, and then a straight again. I'm out of room. And that's without even putting the lead-ins I really should have coming out of this corner. I should have lead-in straights, at least a half, preferably a whole. So, also, as I mentioned, Boone, he's into the scenery. He's got mountains, which I will build out of necessity to keep the cars on the track in case they go over the fences or through the fences. When I had my little oval, the little white Camaro, I broke through one of the fences, and that's a stock car. The others are much faster than that car. So I want to prepare for the eventuality that a car will leave the track even with borders and fences. So I'm going to go ahead and build not styrofoam, but the expanding foam, the great stuff type thing. I'm going to build behind the curves, make a built-in barrier wall, kind of like down there, but a little bit, maybe a little bit higher, maybe the same height. We'll see. So anyway, they're on order. They're coming from England, 2 of them, which is the crucial ones. That when he gets more in, I'll order more, or gasp, I'll order from Scalextrics and pay $500 for 2 borders. The prices are super high on this track, which is why I love action slot racing, because for $500 I'll get a ton of stuff instead of just like 4 pieces of track like I would from Scalextrics directly. I sort of did this pit row thing, just with some dead track, loose track. In my mind, this is like the matchups. These cars would race each other. The 2 Slottits with the 30K motors, and really honorable mention to that little Castrol. The reason he's the lame duck back here, I think I showed you last time. You see that gap? There's a huge gap between the receiving thing where you put the screw in and up there. You see that hole? So when you're screwing it in from down there on the bottom, that screw has to reach double the length of a long body screw. So I ordered some screws from Action. They sent me the longest body screw they had. It wasn't long enough. So now I tried at the hardware store today. The screw was too wide. I had to find the right thread and double the size of the long body screw. So that's why I used the bastard child in the back. Then you've got the Corvette versus Mustang, classic street race, right? Corvette drivers hate Mustang drivers and vice versa. You have the 2 GT40s, it's simple enough. They came with the set, right? The American champions was the Mustang and Camaro. Classic GT is the name of that set that I bought from the English guy. So, oh, my sister told me an interesting thing today. John Lennon played with Scalextric cars when he was a kid, like a lot of kids in England, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, from the GT Classic, obviously they should be evenly matched, but as I said, for whatever reason, after all these hours and hours of use from the prior owner and his kids, the dark blue is faster than the light blue. No idea why. Porsche Ferrari, right? That's a good matchup, kind of like a GT3 car kind of thing. The two Lolas, once again, I'm assuming those are from a set. I got them from Jeff. I don't know where he got them from, but I'm assuming they're from a set. They came together. So they're probably evenly matched. They're both fly Lolas. And then I'm putting the Ninko angle winder up against the slotted Porsche. Now this slotted Porsche doesn't have the 30K motor. It's got a pretty strong magnet, and I'm pretty sure that motor is an upgraded motor from slotted, because Jeff upgraded everything of his wheels, tires. You can see he went for it. He dumped some money into the hobby. So yeah, I want to see those two race once I iron out the last few wrinkles. Like I am encouraged that I did get the GTE around the whole track, but I got to take my worst running car and get it around the track, and then I'm done. And then the two brand new Scalextrics. Yes, I think the GTE will beat the Nighthawk, but the Nighthawk will make it a race. That's a frisky little fucker, besides being a beautiful car. And then, as I mentioned, yeah, the Toyota and the Philly Flyer. That's sort of I just kind of matched them up side by side, and then the Vet and the Mustang. Obviously, the Vet is still waiting for me to use the grabber and take it, but yeah, I changed it so I wanted to use the track. I want to run the cars. And I really couldn't run them with those two hairpins down at that end. So it took me the better part of a night to switch it around. And once again, I had to reconfigure these two tracks, the inner tracks this way, the S-curves I had to reconfigure those to make it work and connect. And once again, this is not the final, definitely not the final here. It's just a nice, simple turn around to get back up onto the big board. That's all the little board is for right now, and holding my tools and stuff that don't fit on my workbench. A couple of new ads. I got some more people, got a few new figures for the grandstand. I'm in the process of painting some of the figures. I'm not a painter, I'm not an artist by any stretch of imagination, but I'm using the magnifying glass and a small brush. I got a magnetic tray, super handy. For when you're taking the screws out of the body. I took a spare magnet I had in Jeff's toolbox and I put it on my screwdriver, regular screwdriver. That makes it a magnetic screwdriver. Awesome. It's I can't talk enough about that. It's really one of the smartest things I've ever done. Once again, one of the reasons I want to get the track running, other than I want to use it, is I want to try out the tires. Remember, Jeff bought me the urethane Paul gauge tires for the Toyota and the GTE. So the plan, as I mentioned in another video, is to run the GTE consistently, at higher speeds than I did, just to get it around the track. Really run the car and clock it. One of the things I ordered from England is a track rubber, a little eraser to get out some of the rough spots on the rail. Another thing was a lap counter, an electronic lap counter that will come here just before the start. We'll actually replace this track here. I'll move this full straight down to come off the corner, and this half track will be replaced right here with an electronic, not digital, but electronic lap counter. So then I can run laps around this monster, Godzilla, right? I called it Kong Raceway. Godzilla, or the long and winding road, whatever you want to call it. So I can run laps, and the counter will check for me, and I can count how long it takes to do a lap for each of those cars. Then I can go ahead and put the Paul gauge tires on the Toyota and the GTE and run another lap and see what time difference it is. Then I can true the tires, which is simply sanding them so they're uniform and flat and even, no bumps, no high spots, no low spots in the tires, because the tires from the factory, tires from Paul Gauge, tires from Quick Slicks and Silicone, they all come a little bit out of shape. Now, Silicone tires you don't true, but urethane and rubber and foam you can. You can sand them down and get them uniform. Even out the high spots basically. Bring everything down to the same level. So I'll do that and then run. I've already oiled, I believe, all the car, so that's been done already. I've seen videos where people run the car dry as it comes out of the box and then oil it and run it. It makes a difference. Some guys shave 2/10, some guys just a half a second. Depends upon how old the car is and how well it was taken care of prior to this. But yeah, mine are all oiled and lubed. I did that like when I first got them. So anyway, that's that's the track, and it's not permanent. When I do get the two borders barriers for the hairpins, I'll probably put those back down because I really did like the way I had these two here with the S-turns. Once again, more interesting to me than just the straight. Right now it's just straight, straight, straight. I told Jeff, I'm going to call it Kirk Raceways, that's his name, Jeff Kirk, because he loves straights. He kept telling me, and when I just had the one straight in the oval, he's like, why don't you use all the straights? Why don't you use all the straights? Because I still have a ton of straights, you know, in between the set and what he sent me. You know, there's still a ton of curves. You know, curves over there too, a bunch I took off from this latest track bash. And yeah, he kept encouraging me to use more straights. I call this the Kirk Raceway because it's got basically 4 nice long lengths of straights, starting here where it comes off the curves. You've got those 2 straights and then the big long ones down there. So yeah, he's a fan of this layout. I am too, especially I like the speed that you get on the straightaways, but like I said, for me, it's just more technically challenging to have these curves continue to curve all the way down. So yeah, that's it. Once again, way too long in the video. I gotta keep them shorter, but that's the updates. I'm starting to get people. I'm starting to get the static cars for, you know, parking in the lot, spectators. Starting to get trees, definitely in the middle of that long track there. Whether the bank is there or the hairpin, there's going to be that thin strip on the other side of it, near the window and here, and those are going to get trees. And the trees are going to be real trees, twigs, because I do think they look more realistic than the plastic ones that people sell. The control tower, I got a couple people for that. They're in there, more coming. I plan to get some concession stands, like a hot dog, hamburger, pizza, whatever vendor. You know, there's always food at these things. It's a big part of it. Anyway, yeah, I guess the next video, I'll change the track again, which, God, I hope I don't, because I'm exhausted from changing track, would be the unboxing from Scalextrics. And because it's only a couple items, the two borders and the track rubber and the counter, I should get that pretty fast, I'm hoping. So we'll see. All right, that's it. CM slots out. Talk to you later.